Muslims in England are calling for the removal of the sign of the cross in England flag. They say it is not supposed to be there, that they can put any other thing there. They can even write England in the middle. But you see, that sign of the cross, it is not supposed to be there because number one, it represents Christianity, and number two, it also represents the Crusaders.
For goodness sake, when will all this madness stop? You come into someone's country, instead of you to try to assimilate, meet up with the trends in that country, all the standard of that country, you rather try to compel them, force them, or to change their way of life to yours. Let's take a watch of this video together.
We are not going anywhere. This is our country. We are here to stay. We are settlers. And also I would like to point out that some people said, what about the crucifix on the English flag? And it's Crusader history. Well, I responded, if you place a white flag with just England written on that flag, there is no reason in Sharia Islamic law why that would be forbidden. So you are permitted to place a white flag with England written on it without the crucifix.
As an immigrant seeking for a better life, it's quite funny, but it's a very serious issue that has to be dealt with. You know, as a matter of fact, he came in as an immigrant, as a refugee, whatever, probably is from the Middle East, one of the war zone, trouble-torn countries in the Middle East, where he is not even safe to be in his country. And now he's coming to dictate how England will have to live, to the extent of trying to decide on how the flag, the symbol of that country where he seek to find refuge, is insulting, and it is very, very disrespectful and should be dealt with. England is not an Islamic country, and these guys cannot really, find themselves, they cannot really mingle, as in assimilate and live along peacefully. I sometimes want to blame the leadership of this country for giving too much privilege, what I would call privilege. Some of them have suddenly started seeing these privileges as their rights, and they even want to decide on how this country will be run, and it's totally wrong. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You feel it's against Sharia because of the crucifix, the cross on the flag should be removed, and just England should be written on it. That is insulting to the people, to the English people, and it should be taken seriously. The authorities should see how to send some of these guys back to their country, most especially those with this extreme mind. Those who are not liberal enough should be sent back to their home countries before they turn their country to something you cannot even imagine. And with the way it is going, if the authorities in England, most especially the Western countries, fails to arrest this situation at this stage, they will lose their country someday to those who believe that their religion, they should be in charge of their country, of the Western countries. A settler? Well, I think the authorities will start learning something and start possibly to see afar from what is happening presently. They should start seeing the future from what is happening presently in their countries. Western leaders should realize that they are gradually being invaded, and it is coming systematically. The earlier they arrest the situation, the better for them. I repeat, the earlier they arrest this situation, the better for them. Or else, a time is coming, most of these extremists will be forcing themselves into people's houses and coercing them to accept their own faith, their religious belief. Failure to do that could, someday lead to execution, just as we see in Afghanistan and the Middle East in general, and even some other countries of the world. These crazy things are going on. Where you fail to accept their faith, you'll be eliminated. You'll be on live, and something really has to be done. And the earlier, the better for them.
Muslims in England are calling for the removal of the sign of the cross in England flag. They say it is not supposed to be there. That they can put any other thing there. They can even write England in the middle. But you see that sign of the cross, it is not supposed to be there because number one, it represents Christianity, and number two, it also represents the Crusaders. For those of you who don't know who the Crusaders are, they are people who stood up and fought for the Christian faith back then when Prophet Muhammad and his people were trying to invade different countries. So when they invaded countries that you know today as Muslim countries, they were not Muslim countries before this. Iran, Syria, they were not Muslim country. So when they were trying to invade and they wanted to capture Jerusalem, which is like the major focus, it was these crusaders that stood up and fought against them. And so the Muslims in England are saying that they do not want that cross in the middle. But yet in Saudi Arabia flag, they have a sword, and then they have an inscription in Arabic which says there is no God but Allah, and Prophet Muhammad is a messenger of God or of Allah. Now they have that inscription, and they also have sword, because that is basically how they invaded all these countries and make them an Islamic nation. And they don't have a problem with the Saudi Arabia flag. But the England flag that has the sign of the cross, they are now calling on the England government to change that sign of the cross from the flag.
So with all what is happening, I wonder if things like this keep repeating itself. I don't know if they even think it is achievable or not achievable. But if they feel it is not achievable, it would be more better and it will make more sense that they move, relocate, find them ways to Islamic countries like UAE and Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Syria, where you freely see symbols that represent Sharia or Islam. If you arrive in a place, there's this popular saying, when you go to Rome, you have to behave like a Roman. When you find your way in this place, in these countries where you know that their way of life is not compatible with yours, the best thing will be to move. Just move. Keep moving till you find a place that you'll be compatible with their culture and their lifestyle. You cannot be an immigrant trying to claim, to dictate what happens and what do not happen in that country. And I think it's totally, it should be rejected in its entirety. And the authorities, I repeat, should take the necessary action against these people. And one of the best action that, should be taken should be to deport them back. They should be deported. It's as simple as that. You can't just come into somebody's country to seek for refuge, and when you arrive, you want to dictate what happens in that country. You can't come to my house, to ask for shelter and then suddenly dictate what happens in my house. No, I'm going to kick you out. I'll definitely kick you out of my house. Their actions should serve as a wake-up call to the government in England and their authorities. All this, failure to do this, tomorrow will lead to something they will not be able to tell how it started. And these are my thoughts, and I would love to see what are your thoughts on this video we just watched in the comment section. Bye. See you in our next video.